Welcome to Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact. Each episode will cover legacy, hope, Black joy, funding sources, cultural shifts, equality, and so much more. We will provide inspiration and action while spreading some joy to a thriving community of Black business owners and leading thought leaders.
I am Larvetta Lofton, your host and the founder of the L3 Agency.
Known as the brand maven who transforms organizations with her storytelling prowess, meet Larvetta L. Lofton, host of Black Businesses Matter, a podcast about why Black businesses matter and the benefits of collaborating and advocating for Black businesses to drive impact.
All righty. Wow, everybody. All righty, we are here with another episode of Black Businesses Matter. Guys, whenever I get a marketing maven in the studio, we are going to have fun because this is what we live for. This is what we do. And so I found out I got another marketing nerd. And so nerds get to be fun, right? Like we're going to have fun. So guys, I am super excited. I love to be in this space. I love when I get to bring thought leaders in the space of marketing because honestly, I know, there's so many marketing companies in the world, there's so many marketing people, but what they don't understand, it ain't a whole lot of us that are Black. Okay.
Yes, preach.
So,
yes,
it ain't a whole lot of us. So whenever I can bring us to the table, I am. So I have the pleasure, guys, in the studio. She is here. She is out of Chicago. And I'm going to make sure I get this right. I promise you guys, her name is Ramatu Kandakai. Did I get that right?
Yes, you did. You did.
I'm loving this. All right. She is a marketing maven, speaker, entrepreneur, and devoted believer. Armed with a MBA from Johns Hopkins,
yes.
She strives in both the B2B and B2C markets, collaborating with brands like Ziploc, Bacardi, and Google+. Wow, Bacardi for me.
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy. As a self-proclaimed marketing nerd, she's a voice on marketing trends, speaking at events like the Max Summit, Bright Talk, and the ANA. In 2020, she introduced Tutu Brand Strategies, extending her personal brand, mytutucents. Oh, that's too cute. mytutucents. I love that. Empowering individuals in personal branding rooted in unwavering faith. Ramatu integrates God's wisdom into her mission, propelling her to help others discover their untapped potential. I'm going to say this to you all. The first time I met her, I had never met someone in this place of marketing that really thrives in blending God into it. I felt that. I felt your light. I felt it. It felt good for me as someone who believes in that and knowing believers to believers. Like it was a real authentic relationship. And I believe we throw that word out, authenticity, but I do believe when we're grounded in the Lord, authenticity shows up easily, right?
Yes,
Don't you believe that?
Yes.
So welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm glad thank you for having me.
Yes. And guys, so whenever I tell you about a guest who I had to cancel, I do not cancel. So just so you know, Ramatu, I do not cancel shows because whenever you make the time, I know the prep work that comes in it, emotionally, professionally, socially. So whenever I have to cancel, it's a process. Like I have to talk myself to be like, it's okay. It's all right. Don't feel bad. I probably have only canceled twice. One was because of tech and one was because of an emergency situation. So for someone who's been doing this and have close to 78 episodes, I think I'm doing all right?
No, you're doing great. That's a great attendance.
I know.
Yeah.
So I try to show up 100 and be present at all times. But we are here, Ramatu, to talk about you and your journey. But before we dive into you as a marketing maven, I want to talk about who was Ramatu as a young girl.
Okay. Who was Ramatu as a young girl? Honestly, I've been always, I feel like I've always been outspoken.
Okay.
Been more sassier than I am now.
Okay.
But that was something that only like family and friends knew a lot about. Ramatu as a young girl was very timid and shy when it came to public speaking. I used to have like stage fright and I used to hate the sound of my voice. That's why I never went into podcasting or anything.
I can see that.
And I remember just like, even in high school, like having to present in front of a class and having like panic attacks and freaking out. So like as a young girl, I always was just like, I'm going to be the funny person. So like I would always be like, you know what, I'm going to use my humor, my talents, my other talents of dancing to like, and even in sports. Yeah. But when it came to just me being on stage or me talking and people just looking at me, I froze up all the time.
Wow.
So that was me as the young Ramatu. Okay. And it took like adulthood and really, honestly, the pandemic is when I really found my voice and that confidence through Clubhouse, ironically.
Yes, Clubhouse.
To really get more confident speaking.
Tell me about Clubhouse. What were your thoughts about Clubhouse since you brought it
had its time. It had its time. I think it was perfect during a pandemic. Like everyone was shut in. And I think they just didn't do the best job at scaling it and taking the bugs and kinks out to get it to like a brand authority outside of the pandemic. Yeah. So like, once LinkedIn, Twitter, Spaces, Spotify, all these other platforms started mimicking it, it was like, okay, what is Clubhouse? What is its identity? What is its brand? It was like nothing there. So I think it just diminished over time really fast. It had peaked and climbed.
And do you think marketers were gaining some market share over there when it came out? Do you believe that? Okay.
I think it was great for personal brands. Yeah. I think people that were really great at speaking and really knew how to basically maximize on that audience, I think did a really good job outside of it. So I think it was really great for people that honestly had a voice but didn't know how to articulate it through social media, through visuals, through images. I think that was great.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because I think as marketers, right, we're constantly being given so much on a platter. Like, try this. Can we do this? What about this? You know what I mean? I feel like we're constantly innovating, but then we're also having to stay relevant and keep our brands relevant. So when you think about like, for you've worked with, the Ziplocs, the Bacardis and Google Plus, when you think about what's been your best campaign on the space of market? Like what's been one of your favorite campaigns that you helped launch?
Honestly, my favorite campaign wasn't when I was working for a big company.
I love it.
It was when I worked at a nonprofit. It was like, because to me, I think the best campaigns, and I realize that's why I know I'm all about a brand story and impact, because to me, that's when I think about what was the most impactful, what resonated the most. So when I worked at a nonprofit, we had no budget. It was like a program that was for volunteers. And I basically did a video campaign where the volunteers would share their stories to basically amplify Volunteer Appreciation Week. Yeah. And through that, it was like so impactful because you got to see the faces of how this program that we're working on impacts everyone daily in their own words. And then that campaign was so impactful because it standardized us using user-generated content. Yep. And then it was something that is just there. It's something that's just authentic in its own voice. So to me, that was like the one that I remember the most because I feel like it was my idea. Sometimes, in marketing, it's like you're doing the same thing over, but this is like a new idea. It was so authentic and it was real. So yeah.
And I love that you brought, first thing that you brought was a nonprofit, right?
Yeah.
And understanding that was mission driven. And so being able to do that and understand that. So when you think about, as forward thinking marketing mavens, how do you see big brands, and I say today, to be more mission centric?
Well, so when I think about brands, I think it's kind of like, are we talking about brands or corporations? Because one of the things that I really think about with brands and corporations is being more authentic to who's using your products and services. Yeah. One of the brands right now, I feel like, is understanding that and able to put it into what that looks like in the advertising space is Chick-fil-A, for instance.
Okay, so now you like for real are like my BFF for real because they just
like it's so like it's just like the simple commercials that they're doing, and I'm like, we're like. I'm hoping those are real people's voices, but it's so simple. Someone talking about that pimento cheese. Yes. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try that pimento cheese. I'm scared though, but I'll be looking at it like,
I feel the same way, girl.
Yeah, but the person describing how they feel when they're like, entering to Chick-fil-A or trying a new product, like trying one of the new sandwiches, it's a review. They're literally narrating a review, but for some reason it resonates so well with me. It's so simple, but it works.
I totally agree.
I'm like, and also what I like about it is that they use audio, which is now in marketing space, that's becoming really big in search and everything like that. And so we think about Alexa, when you think about all these different products that are using voice search, I think it's really smart to have campaigns that are using that audio part of it outside of just visually. And it's like lower spend. Lower spend.
Well, and I think with audio, and I know this to be the person that I was growing up, like I love reading, but I love reading out loud. That's how I was able to receive it. And so then when I decided to be a journalist, so to your point, I would play it back because you had to play it back because at the time I was a reporter. And what I realized is this is full disclosure. There is rhythm in voice. So there's a rhythm. It's like the haiku and the poet. It's a rhythm. And so what happens is it makes people connect based on the rhythm of the audio, much like music, right? And so that's why I think audio is so powerful because people learn, people connect, it's like, woo, and they're not coming through the TV. They just like, hey, that's my girl, right? And so it's such a real, and I think, we think about radio, but we don't understand the impact that audio has had. Yes. I mean, terrestrial radio, and we think about that, but just from an audio girl, when you talk about Chick-fil-A, I just absolutely, like I'm over here like, I don't eat chicken. Yesterday, I went to get some veggie food, but it was a long line. That's the other thing that I love. They create a level of you want to go. Like I don't even eat chicken anymore, but I just want to go. Let me just get some tea. It forces you to do that. And I remember McDonald's, unfortunate. Yeah, I know, Ramatu, we both looked. But I remember that they had the French fry. Like you could go there and get that French fry and you were happy. You didn't have to have the burger. Remember, it was the French fry that you were coming for. It was not so much burger. At one point, it was like, I just want people would buy their French fries with a salad. Remember? And so they created that. And so unfortunately, I think arrogance is what hurts McDonald's. You created this space of being the only, that you didn't create a space to have these multiple verticals. And I think when you think about a Chick-fil-A, I want to get back to that because I think it's important as it relates to your faith. The part that I also think is they were unapologetic in their faith. Oh yeah, they were. I mean, they were like, you can go get another chicken sandwich on Sundays. We don't care. We don't care. They were like, we don't care. We know we can make gross profits this day. We know it can be great. And the thing is, what I think is amazing about that is they did it. They stayed with it. And we were just like, okay, we're going to just, I think it's when you are consistent in your brand. I agree. And with Chick-fil-A, they have been. I think it's when you're not consistent, when your values are this and that, and you're trying to fit these boxes, that's where the problem comes in. It's like, you know what? They're not open on Sundays and we know why. Correct. The end. Correct. And leading from a place that I think that they lead with their faith first, and then they set the boundaries around that. Yeah. And so I remember years ago, a client of mine was moving over to Chick-fil-A, tried to get me to come on board to consult with them. I saw the application, real talk. You have to have a Bible verse to every mission that you're presented. It's serious. Oh, wow. Like, provide the verse and then lead with where you want to take this. Like, it's serious. They are not like, no. They're very clear. Like, you're going to come in here. We ain't going to tell you who to believe, but you've got to come in here with some spiritual appetite for you to roll. And I think that's powerful. I want to ask you this. How, when you think about now becoming more of helping, these small businesses, these smaller brands, to be able to help them in what I call my two cents, which I think is too cute. What is the my two cents? So my two cents is a play on words. So, the phrase my 2 cents, anyone's like, let me get my 2 cents. As I said, I'm very talkative. So I'm always giving my 2 cents on marketing. Like I can't put my marketing lens down. And so Tutu comes in because Tutu's a family nickname, Ramatu Tutu. Yeah. And so I was like, you know what, let me get my 2 cents. I was like, let me get my 2 cents. And so it's just like giving my 2 cents on personal branding lessons, basically in pop culture and life. And so started it on LinkedIn, just writing, adding valuable content,
talking about what's happening, how can you take away personal brand lessons from it, whether it's, crafting a brand story, okay, what are the lessons you need to know? Be consistent, be authentic, and then, taking current news that is happening and just always putting that lens on it as like, how do I bring this back to personal branding? How do I bring this back to marketing?
Yeah.
And so I do it in my natural life. We're talking about fast food and we're talking about marketing and branding. And so it's like, that's just like my 2 cents. So that's
I love it because I love it. But that's what we do. We stand in the brand, and anytime we can make a play on something and make it cool, it definitely is hot. So I love it. Because everybody, let me give you my 2 cents. Like I love it. And always like, I didn't ask you for your 2 cents. But
exactly.
So you think about that. But one of the things I want to ask you, and I'm saying this because I wonder, is this how you feel? Like in this place of marketing, right? Mm-hmm. Do you feel like we are the last to get for people to pay us?
Oh, I do. Yeah, I knew that's what. I knew this was exactly what you guys.
I always think, is it me? Maybe it's
no,
just me.
it's not. And so yes, especially in businesses, like you think about it, it's always the afterthought. It's like you build this product, you're getting your sales, God knows how, and then it's like, oh, I need to do this thing called marketing because my sales are low. Now let me get someone to market it. And if they're not doing it right, it's their fault.
Correct.
Didn't think about my product. Didn't think about my customer satisfaction. Didn't think about my price point. No, it was marketing.
Yeah.
That's why it's not selling and growing. So yeah, marketing is always an afterthought, but it should be the first thought.
Correct.
So it's like, the first you think about your brand,
Correct.
who you are, what's your values, and make that cohesive and solid. And then that marketing comes into place, that ING, that actionable part where it's like, how am I communicating with this audience? How am I resonating with them? What channels am I doing? How am I being strategic and tactical and consistent?
Yeah.
So that should be happening after you build the product. You know, it's like, but it's like, people are really on that sales component and just, making sure that they're getting the sales, making sure that they're hyper growth, and they're not focusing on the strategic parts of marketing. And then later they want the executional, fun, tactical parts. And they're like, I need to be on TikTok. It's like, do you? Because last I saw your mission statement, like, let's circle back,
And
so
I think that's I feel like the cycle just continues because I find that when people come to us, they always want to say, right, we got to generate sales. And I literally say, let me tell you something. Salespeople love us because we give you assets. We give you something to sell. But we, at the end of the day, are not selling your product. We're telling the story of your product.
Right.
And I think we confuse those two, and that, because when you think about it, when you get a lawyer, right? You get a lawyer, you pay for that service. Okay. If someone sues you and you don't have the stuff in there, it is what it is, right? But when you don't have these things in place, those are just things that literally, I believe, is how the house doesn't have a foundation. Because the foundation of a house needs legal, at least marketing. It needs all of these things to be able for it to grow and for you to build every room. And I find that and I'm seeing this more and more and more and more, that people believe because they're online, I have a brand.
I mean, yes, you're online. I mean, a brand is an emotion. So,
Correct. Okay. Can you say that for the people in the back? Please.
Brand is an emotion. So it's about how you make others feel when you walk into a room, how they engage with you, whether it's when they hear your voice, when they see you. And so it's emotionally invoked. Yeah. So you do have a brand, but how you are strategic with it is where the ING comes in, where the strategy comes in. So it's like, whether you try to or not, you're online, someone sees your product or service, they're going to have a feeling attached to it. They're either going to want to learn more, they're either going to get excited, they're either going to remember it or not.
Correct.
So it's really about how do I understand the psychological elements of a brand, and how do I leverage that to resonate with my consumers so that I'm memorable?
Yeah.
So that's like how I would articulate it. So, be online if yes, you should have an online presence, but how are you strategic? How are you thinking about it? What emotion are you invoking so that it works to your advantage?
And I think, I go into these rooms and I'm always like, we're online. Yeah, we're in social. Yeah, we're on Instagram. We're on LinkedIn. And then when I go, I'm like, oh, you're there.
You're just there. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
You're there, but you have to your point, right? There's no personality. And, I even say as an agency and like, we love IG and IG is for advocacy, but we don't get clients there. And you also knowing that every platform doesn't get the same voice and the same audience, right? Some people will, some people won't. But the audience on Instagram is probably not the same audience on LinkedIn. I'm not saying it doesn't happen.
No, but you're right.
But
yeah,
it's true,
yeah,
right?
Yes.
And so realizing that piece, but I think what people don't do, a great job is by once you're there, be engaging, right?
Mm-hmm.
Whatever that is. And this is my example, Ramatu, that I've always said. When you go into a store, the person that says, hello, how are you, is the one that you're like, oh, okay. Versus you go into the store and nobody says anything. You're less likely to go back to that store because they didn't acknowledge who you are. The same way when we think about our online. If you're not giving us something engaged to keep us motivated to come back, to say, hey, I want to come back, then it is. Even if you sell, I'm just going to say, you sell, to your point, Chick-fil-A. I don't even eat chicken and they're selling it to me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so understanding that piece of authenticity, I think, is important. So I want people to, the thing I want to talk about is your ebook. Let's talk about it. This ebook of crafting your brand story, a step-by-step guide to stand out and succeed. I love that. First of all, I'm going to send all my friends. So stop calling me because I can't help you. Okay?
Yeah.
I need you to get this ebook. Tell me how people can get the ebook.
Yeah, so on my website, tutubrandstrategies.com, if you go in there, I have a section on products. And so they can go in there. It's right now one of the key products that I'm pushing out right now. So follow me on Instagram or social media. I'll be pushing that out as well. So you should be able to find it there.
Awesome.
But yeah, I'm excited about it. I think we're talking about building a brand story.
Yeah.
And so it's just a way to give you the steps needed to really understand what are the elements of a brand story, how that you can articulate that in order to just amplify your uniqueness to stand out.
Yeah. So people, what I'm trying to get you all to understand, and I'm saying this to my listeners, is before you call her, before you call me, go get the book first. Then you call us. Because I think that helps you to understand a little bit. Because a lot of times I think people, they think we play, right? We play. We have a good time. Like, brand work is hard. It's right? Because it's a blend of this is what my science, it's science, arts, and math.
Yes.
It's that. So when you blend those things together, most people are just saying like, oh my gosh, girl, they just out and we are living our best life. But the idea is that, we're at these events because we're here to tell that story, right? And understand that promise. So so when you think about, I'm going to say this, so that my small brands, because we've been talking this whole season, this has been all of our B2B brands, right? These are companies that literally service businesses. Right. Because what we find is the idea is that sometimes our B2B businesses don't get the love that they need to get because it's easier to sell a product, right? When we think about TV, right? We think about talk shows. It's easy to sell the beautiful necklace you have on. It's beautiful to sell that. But when it comes to service, oh my gosh, it's hard because of the simple fact. I think it's harder because nobody can touch it. Nobody can feel it. So when you think about your small businesses on the B2B, what do you look for the businesses that you want to work with?
So I definitely, I work with personal brands. So for me, it's all about people that are really looking to just share their story and looking to elevate themselves. So for me, I can talk about my target audience if you want me to. So for me, to be honest, we all started a business because we see a problem and we're affected by it. So for me personally, me basically trying to find a job, I was looking on LinkedIn. And so I was really amplifying my expertise. And through that, I was able to monetize my personal brand. And through that, get speaking engagements, become an entrepreneur, et cetera. And as a Black woman, it really stood out to me because being in the corporate world, it's really hard sometimes to get your voice heard. It's really, you're dealing with microaggressions, you're dealing with underpay or lower pay, and then not being able to progress as much as you want to. So for me, I really strive to work with Black women that are looking to get their voice heard and unlock multiple opportunities, whether it's a business, whether it's monetizing their personal brand, whether it's launching a book. So that's what I'm really looking for, is someone that is, really branching out of that 9 to 5 to expand on their wealth and basically do that in different ways. So not tied to a specific industry, but more so, how do you monetize your passion in a strategic way?
And so I want you guys to understand that, and I love this, Ramatu, because, you know, I started off that way, just from that same way, right? And then moving into agency. And what I need people to understand is that that public persona has a story, right?
Yes.
It has a story. And so you as that business owner, people don't know your public persona. Here's a perfect person that can help you. Someone like Ramatu, somebody who says, okay, I've been working in corporate America for, 10, 15 years. I haven't afforded the opportunity to really showcase my skills and my expertise because I've never had the time to be able to do that. And now you have an entity that literally can help you build. And so I want people to understand, because when I think about our audience, I think about them in a way that says, right, okay, they see L3 and we work with a lot of corporations. We work with a lot of enterprise companies. We work with a lot of kind of nonprofit organizations. And so by realizing that we work in that space, we have to realize that there are these engineers that's behind it, the architects that are behind it, but we don't have their story. Mm-hmm. And so you get to be able to bring those stories to life that has never been done. And so I want you guys to understand that this young lady is dope. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
I met her in the room and I was like, let's get her on the podcast, because honestly, you think in your mind, like, we can all be in the same space as marketers and we all can win. Like,
yes,
we can all be in the same space and win and say, you know what, I'm not able to do that, but go over here to my good friend. And so vice versa, she can do the same thing. Hey, company, I'm not there yet. Oh, let me send her. It can happen. And I think that's the other piece that has to be important is collaboration, understanding the purpose of it and be very clear about that. And so I've got to ask you this question. Why do Black businesses matter?
Black businesses matter because we're such a small part of the population, but we have so much buying power. We are cultural movers, shakers. We create trends. And so we are very important that we do these things and we need to give back to each other. We need to build. We have so much potential that we don't even know it because of our size. So Black businesses matter because we have so much power and we need to amplify that in multiple ways by, like you said, being in the community, rotating that Black dollar within our community, not within, I think it's a couple of hours the Black dollar is. We need to have that rotated.
Like for 5 days.
at least. So that's why Black businesses matter, because we are the movers and shakers and innovators, and we need our businesses to mirror that.
Yeah. And every time I hear that, it is a reminder that we are the trend, right? We create. We are.
Yes,
like,
we
the
are.
trends are like, oh my gosh, no.
No, we
started it. Like, for real. That was a trend, right? My 2 cents, and look what you've done. So I say that to be true. So when I think about one of the things that we asked to before we wrap up, that it was an interview I did years ago when I first started. Not years ago. That just sounded like I started years ago, but maybe like last year. It was that we hadn't been given permission. And I'm only giving you the context because as a marketer, I think it could resonate for you. We weren't given permission to shine our Black joy. We were only given permission to be worker bees. And so the opportunity for us to shine that Black joy was like, no, honey, we don't need to hear about your Black joy. We need to hear about you working. We got to hear about your struggle, right? And so we felt like the idea of joy and Black business should come out. It should be able to come out. So what brings you joy?
What brings me joy is seeing us win. Me, Black girl magic. Like, I'm going to say it right now, like, us dominating the Olympics right now, that's what's bringing me joy right now.
I know.
But it's just like...
It is. You're right. Like, you're right. To get to that point, that where we are, I agree.
I just feel like that's what brings me joy, is seeing us in our light and just doing what we want to do, being happy, being beautiful, being authentic and embracing our natural beauty. That's what brings me joy. It's just seeing us win. Like Issa Rae said, I'm rooting for everybody Black. That's what...
Like, why can't we do that?
That's just, but yeah.
I agree. And I'm a fan because I believe that, not to take it back there, but when I thought about that last episode when she had her block party, and was that right?
Yeah.
Shout out to Issa Rae, because Issa Rae, I love you, because that right there was like, we can do this. Like, we can collaborate and we can do this. in a Black neighborhood and it be safe, right? And so seeing that, I think it was aspirational, both inspirational, while it was, fictional TV. And I think the reason why she resonated for all of us, because I think that's what we all want to see. I think we want those rooms to be filled with us, and we want to go where there's things for us that's made for us, that's thought for us, that's considered for us. And so that's the way that I see it. And so I do want to, before we wrap up, how can people reach you? What are your handles?
So my Tutu Cents, all one word. Listen, I got the best. I have the best SEO. So if you use that on Twitter, Instagram, and even on LinkedIn, I have a hashtag my Tutu Cents. So that's the best way to find me. Okay. Or just Ramatu Kandakai. But I'm the most active right now on LinkedIn.
Okay, good for you. Yes. LinkedIn in the house.
LinkedIn is the most active on there.
I love that you said that, because that's how I feel. I be like, I know I'm on there, but my IG, I feel like it's all about me just having fun and just being outside of the business, right? So I love that you led with LinkedIn, because oftentimes, right, every time we look at this, it's all IG. But I'm going to tell you something, don't sleep on LinkedIn, because people better realize as they're growing and their algorithm, if you're not there, you need to get there.
Oh yeah. That's,
you need to get there.
I say that's where the money resides.
Yeah, I agree. Any final words before we wrap up?
I just want to tell people, you have a personal brand, and don't think you have to have this entrepreneurial venture right now to attach yourself to being strategic with it. Just think about, what are your values and how can you be authentic through everything that you do, and just do that in any footprint or digital footprint you have.
That's awesome. So I've got about a quick 5 minutes that I want to ask you really, really quickly, because when I get a marketer in the room, y'all, I get really, 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 really excited. So I got to ask you this. We did this from our 33 questions. So you live in Chicago.
Yeah, I've been here a little bit over 2 years now.
So who's your favorite pizza place?
Oh, gosh. Okay. So I do like Pequod's.
Ooh, tell me about Pequod's.
I don't know.
Never heard of it.
Yeah, I mean, I had it once and I really liked the mix. So I like that one, I would say, is number one. And then after that, I would say Giordano's.
Okay. She got Giordano's.
Giordano's. I don't say I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble for this.
I love that. And then I've got to ask you that because we're in the home of the Chicago Bulls, Black House, that at one point we were dope in sports. Are there a special sports team that you like?
Listen, I lived in Massachusetts most of my life, so I'm gonna get in trouble.
You gonna get in trouble? Oh,
yes. For sports teams. I'm just gonna keep my mouth shut.
You just keep it to yourself?
Yeah,
okay. We'll let her. So I'll give her Chicago Sky. I'll give you that.
Okay, yes,
I'll give you Chicago Sky.
They won the year I moved here. So it's because I say I'm the lucky charm,
You are the lucky charm to Chicago Sky. I got to throw this in there because when I get marketing folks in there, this is all we do. We read about the news. We hear about the trends. And so I can have a little bit of fun in that space. And then I will ask you, as you think about the future of marketing, where do you see that?
It's interesting because I feel like there's a lot of different takes. I will say AI is infused in it in so many ways. So I think right now it's really freaky, but I know Meta's doing things where they're paying for the likeliness of celebrities and people. And so what I do see, honestly, in the future is more AI-generated content, not just from a copy standpoint, but from a literally visual identity from video. And so, and now, with imagery and everything. So I see that where authenticity is going to be something that you really got to package well because everything's going to be automated or AI or in some space. So that's what I see is that that's going to continue to grow, and we're going to really be looking for true, authentic people because there's going to be avatars everywhere.
Girl, so I wanted to close with that, guys, because you need to hold on to that because for those of us that are running from AI, don't run from it, run to it. Make it your friend, use it as a tool. And even what you just said, I think is important. So guys, this is an episode you probably want to kind of put on replay. You probably want to download because she gave us some nuggets that we can use today and that we can hold on to forever and ever. Thank you for being a guest of Black Businesses Matter.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so excited to have you in the studio. Guys, you all know what to do. Make sure you check us out next week. And thanks again for tuning in.
The Black Businesses Matter podcast is produced by the L3 Agency, a culturally sensitive influencer, marketing, and communications firm in Chicago, where relationships are our currency, passion is our profit maker, and people are our bottom line. Follow us on Instagram at Black Businesses Matter.